Oh, I was warming up to this today, and what this video is going to be about, and not that a rosary is going to protect me from such things, but uh, transgenderism and the occult. And I've seen Facebook profiles of individuals, and that's exactly what they are. They're not hiding anything, and in fact, they persist with their behaviors just to be an obstacle to someone else or to other people, and it's I find it really strange. These individuals that think they can just get away with anything. Like for-profit transition surgeries. You see, that's the real issue. Is that it's based on a for-profit model, and therefore all of these gender affirmation centers are complicit in the mutilation of healthy bodies. So, how does this relate to the occult, or like belief systems that center themselves around, say, like Beelzebub or Baphomet? And Baphomet, as you may or may not know, is this figure of a few different, I wouldn't call them religions, but it is a goat's head with a woman's upper torso and the goat lower half, right? So it's I don't know, man. It's just I think I've touched on this before, and it just I can't I can't just sit here and talk about it anymore. And like I was thinking about this, there's some really scary people out there. And it makes me think of like True Detective, of course, the first season in which they embark upon the downward spiral in this investigation, and it gets scarier and scarier as they find, and this also applies to what's it the girl with the dragon tattoo, right? Where they figure out that the disappearing individuals are because of some rich person that has a kill room in their basement. And there's been rumors about that over the internet for years now. Even some images, and you know there's just some people in this world you don't want to piss off, and I'm not interested in pissing off any of these people, because I like who I am, and I like my genitals exactly where they are. And I think other people appreciate the fact that my genitals are still intact. But as I've talked about before, these people are so extreme, right? This occultist belief system only reinforces the confirmation bias, and I'm looking at a couple of different papers here. This one I'll put these links into the description. But this individual is talking about the okay, so I'll just read from this article that they published, and it was published in 2017, right? So that would have been the peak of all of this. I don't know. This hubbubaloo, and it's just fucked. It's just fucked right up. So they take it upon themselves to be in opposition to Christianity because they get radicalized by either their social groups or by their interactions with other people online, and then they build themselves a belief system which is supposed to be a substitute for something like this, which You think Catholics haven't gone around and slicing off people's heads? Deus Volt, motherfucker. Okay, so the beginning of this, this individual goes on and says, as a non-binary individual who is also interested in the occult, I find the way that various occult practices view gender and sexuality to say a lot about the particular practice. I found my occult practice of choice, Hermeticism, before I was fully out to myself, but one of these things that I found most intriguing about Hermeticism was their view on gender. I was looking at multiple different practices at the time, trying to find out which one was really right for me. So that's cherry picking, is it not? That's the definition of cherry picking. So that's a logical fallacy in itself. But of course, this individual doesn't care about logic. I still find it a fascinating topic and one worthy of exploring. So I'm going to briefly discuss 3 occult practices and their general views on gender and sexuality. So they start with Satanism, then Wicca, and Hermeticism. I'm just gonna keep this video to as short of a duration as possible, because it is so rage-inducing, right? And these individuals have opened themselves up to the seduction of evil, right? Because they'll shoot you in the balls to force your transition, or they'll shoot you in the neck or in one of these, your outer extremities, to paralyze you or to disable you. And then beyond that, they'll torture animals. They will commit sacrifices, animal sacrifices, if not human sacrifices. And in fact, it's as if the very process of going through the transition is the human sacrifice to a greater power, or for the greater good. And this mentality that thinks that transgenderism is the new wave of homosexuality and like liberation of humanity from the shackles of its own making, right? And the shackles being that of religion or community experience, in which they don't feel that they're a part of, and they don't want to be a part of. They again, they're talking about this. The language is all about like this is very wishy-washy, touchy-feely kind of connotations and tone. Like otherness or kinship, otherkin. This whole like curriculum of mental gymnastics that they go through, just to argue that mutilating oneself is of course the best course of action, because obviously you weren't born in the right body, right? You just came out with the wrong genitals. And that I find that really insulting to intersex people, in which they were the subjects of sex reassignment in I think it was the 50s and the 60s, and when they were finding these permutations coming out from environmental contamination and stuff like the polio vaccine. Isn't that correct? Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There was a woman that used to live in my complex here. Thalidomide, that's it. Thalidomide. She was a thalidomide a victim, right? So she didn't have fully developed limbs, and she was stricken to a wheelchair. And this is why they have a tendency to prey upon the disabled, if not the mentally vulnerable. Because it gives them an answer, right? That's the process of indoctrinating someone into a cult, or to an organization centered around a central figure. in which this individual goes around with predatory intentions, not the the other kind of guidance, which happens to be through apprenticeships. Um, so there's an obvious difference between these two things, explicitly obvious. So, ha, I'm so sick of this because it has come to the point where it is directly affecting other individuals by their very existence. It has adversely affected our society to the point for which might not be recoverable. And that was their goal, right? Was the complete and utter obliteration, annihilation of whatever we hold dear. You know, I would like to think that Christianity has made efforts over its existence to try and create gardens of Eden in which the sanctity of sex and intimacy is valued, right? And this may be more of a European, just a bit of dirt on my foot here. European attitudes towards relationships. We have much more continental relationships with our genitals, right? In which we were much more conservative. At least that's how I feel. Through the colonial era and so on and so forth, because they were pious individuals, and this is where the revisionism becomes a problem, because they're inserting this narrative into an already substantiated historical record, and they're attempting to queerify the space and change the definitions to suit themselves. This is the battle that we face, and that we brought upon ourselves, quite frankly. A lot of the opponents to North American society were always interested in humbling us and getting some sort of historical revenge against previous empires and colonialism. All right. I got this other one is it's embargoed until June 13th, 2030, which I think is wild. It was just published last year. And the title of this is Trans Pandemonium: The Gendered and Sexual Mutability of Demonic Representations in Contemporary Media. So I'll read this here. The dissertation examines the transing and detransing of satanic figures, most notably Baphomet, Beelzebub, Azrael, Lilith, and Lucifer. As satanic figures, Azrael is not a satanic figure. He's the angel of death. Lilith, I don't know. Let's look up Lilith here. So, according to Google, Lilith is not mentioned as Adam's first wife. The idea that she was Adam's wife comes from later Jewish folklore and medieval texts. So, what's the difference between Eve and Lilith? Eve is the canonical first woman created from Adam, whereas Lilith, extra biblical Jewish folklore as Adam's independent first wife made from the same earth. So, it's something like a story about jealousy. Does not appear in the Hebrew Bible or any other biblical source. And I'm just reading from Wikipedia here. It says that in Isaiah 34:14, the meaning of the word is so Lilith appears, she demon. King James Version transition renders the term as in this verse as a screech owl. Well, I got a KJV right over here. Okay, Isaiah. I got Psalm 41 in front of me. Oh, that's Ezra. A little too far back. Job, Esther, Isaiah. There we go. I was going backwards there. Isaiah 34:14. I told someone they should read the Bible. They told me to fuck off. I bet that played out really well for them, didn't it? (34:14). 12. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. Yeah, okay. Well, that doesn't really say very much. So, again, I'm not going to be able to draw much from this unless I have direct contact with its authors. And let's see, these 5 characters serve as key satanic icons who are often co-constructed through the discourses, visual and literary works of occult and anti-occult religious groups across Europe and North America. This dissertation is predicated on the practice of critical media studies, in which I examine the iconography and artistic works of the 19th through 21st centuries, print media, and religious material in occult and anti-occult work, contemporary television on streaming websites such as Netflix and Amazon Prime, a new media like YouTube videos and podcasts. Though this visual media analysis, this dissertation highlights ongoing forms of trans-demonization within American religion, media, and politics. Drawing from monster theory, trans theory, and pessimism, I theorize what I call trans-pandemonium as a doubly defined term indicating a creative frenzy of demonic trans world-making for authors, artists, television producers, but also a space for uproar for trans opponents whose trans panic includes a fear of predatory transgender figures that endanger innocent children. I argue that associations between transgender identity and the devil in contemporary television and film have reliably communicated to conservative, evangelical, and Catholic communities that all transgender people are demonic, which has impacted the ongoing anti-trans legislation wave within the states and federal United States government. What a load of fucking bullshit. I think they missed the memo. I got other stuff here from the same author. I'll include that. And then this next one is actually from the NIH, which is the National Library of Medicine. And this the title of this article is Queer Occultism, Sentimental Biopower, and Becoming Bottoms as a Means to Divest from White Supremacy Amongst Practitioners of Magic in Montreal. Oh, what? Okay, so the abstract, I'm going to read this here. Astrology, magic, and other psychic healing practices are undergoing a cultural revival, notably among those on the left who employ it as a language for social justice. I gotta ask, how does this esotericism support your cause? How does it justify your actions? And why should other individuals be paying for it with their tax dollars? It's like this excuse, oh, if we don't transition, then they're going to commit suicide. If you think that these are the only two choices, that the person commits suicide or they transition, then something's wrong. Something's wrong with the practice. Okay. Queer practitioners have claimed kinship with the occult through a perceived shared abjection, deeming it an inherently queer resource for self and community empowerment, and naming anti-racism and decolonialization key aims of their work. At the same time, these forms of occultism draw suspicion, not least amongst practitioners themselves, who are critical of the ways these knowledge traditions have been complicit in spiritual genocide. What? You know, if you imagine trying to defend this stuff to to defend your dissertation, and this is your dissertation. Right? The problem is that the say the Overton window, or the again the optics that for which these people are perceiving the issue, because of their education, in which that it becomes a self-feeding cycle, right? It's a snake eating its own tail, in which there's the chicken or the egg, right? There's no clear beginning and no end, and it is a logical loop. It's not. You see, here's the thing: is that a logical loop, a closed loop, is not logical. Logic has to do with a clear line from the beginning to the end, and for some reason that's a problem for these people, and I don't understand it, and I don't want other people to explain it to me as to why. Okay. Drawing from ethnographic fieldwork with 30 informants in Montreal in 2022, I investigate the occult's appeal among queer people as a process of affective expansion, wherein practitioners attuned to the hereafter repossessed lifeways, or heretofore repossessed lifeways, knowledge, and words that machineries of empire have rendered invisible. If contemporary occult movements represent a turn towards punitively repressed modalities that may rival those which we have otherwise inherited, queer informants claim a special relationship to these objects through a framework of sensitivity that magic allows them to workshop. Theorizing the occult as a biopolitical effect regime, I argue that the informants ironically invest in historically radicalized language of impressibility as indexes of social health, at the same time that they locate queerness rather than whiteness as a conduit for their effective expansion. You see, this is the fine art of saying absolutely nothing by saying everything. And this verbosity, right? These again, the mental gymnastics that I'm extrapolating from this, just it doesn't help them at all. I argue that white informants demonstrate a particular anxiety about how to learn to become open to this otherwise hoisting bottoming as a spiritual and political imperative to become receptive to forms of accountability, reparations, and solidarity. So what they're really trying to do is to raise sodomy to the level of vaginal intercourse, in which it's worshipped and it's canon within the same respect. Is it? I don't. Why? Why are you trying to sanctify kinky bum sex, like queerdo butt sex? Like why are you trying to sanctify? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Of course, it doesn't make any sense because it's the occult, and the occult has not ever made sense. And again, these tactics have been used in the past to spook communities, um, and to cause panic. And then I've mentioned this before, with like such as the Satanic Panic in the 1980s, in which this fear-driven propaganda was, um, communicated through media, and maybe it did have some groups going around practicing Wicca because of their idolatry, associated with Salem or something like that. These witches, these Wicca, and these wizards that have some, what am I going to call it? Some sort of Gnostic theism, but centralized around another figure other than the Judeo-Christian God, and it's like they're trying to get in bed with the natives, honestly. But the natives were like, "What the fuck is this shit? You guys you're whack. Like, go over there. Go back to your cemetery." And it's not like the worshiping of death is something unique to this, but this is the most strange, um, permutation of such a thing. And that the fact that it's associated with being queer is even stranger. And someone's laughing right now because they're fucking a dog in the ass. They're quite literally watching this video and having sex with a dog and laughing about it. You know why? Because they're involved in some sort of illicit substance production, and you may even make the allusion or the citation to Mandy, right? Mandy being the film that was put out a few years ago. I absolutely loved Mandy. Great film. One of Nicolas Cage's best movies. And that gets really wild. Oh, I tell you, some people they probably want to douse themselves in holy water after watching that. But like this Christian adjacent cult of people uses LSD as their conduit to communicating with God, and then they use it on their victim to subdue her in the middle of this ceremony, oh my God, oh. Oh my God. And in that movie, like it's as if Nick is battling actual demons, because the wisdom is: beware of those who say they are Jews and are not Jews. Beware of those who say they are Christians and are not Christians. Beware of those who say they are Muslims and they are not. Because of the shared history, right? It's just this is what I'm talking about. This is the problem. This is the bigger fish we have to fry. And then we can go back to our other petty squabbles and shooting each other across the Gulf of Juarez or whatever it is. Okay. I was going to say something about, again, the proximity between transgenderism and then also transhumanism, in which we integrate ourselves with the machines, and we get implantable electronic devices, and we turn ourselves into cyborgs. And this was one of the main themes, of course, with cyberpunk. And Cyberpunk 2077 is a seminal work. It's it will go down in history as one of the most, to me, at least to me, as one of the most important video games ever published. And again, the themes of cyberpunk have to do with birth, death, and rebirth, in which you survive a bullet to the head as the main character, and you're then the the vessel for a copied version from a person, the Soul Killer, right? The Soul Killer program, which uploads someone's consciousness to a data bank, and then in the same universe there is sentient AI and other AI-ish kind of figures that exist on the web, and they call it the black wall, right? It's called the black wall, in which they separate the index web from the wild west, in which in the space of the of electronica that these rogue AIs happen to reside in, and it goes through this again because there are a couple of mentions in the story's canon of being able to change your anything basically, because the cybernetics are so advanced, to the point where you can have a full body conversion, such as Adam Smasher, and that character. And so there's very little of you that is left as a human being, once you get to that point, or like say where you as the main character fill all of your slots, your upgrade slots, with augmentations. And again, that's another correlation to say Deus Ex Machina, which is of course God in the machine. And this is more or less what I think these people are trying to do, is to communicate to their God through their bodies, and to fashion themselves in the image of their idol, which I find really strange. I don't think I'm ever going to fully understand this, and I don't really want to. It's because it's just like it's like, okay, some people enjoy being different, right? We want to differentiate ourselves from our parents, from our communities, as we establish our own identities in those vulnerable years, um, picking and choosing from different influences. But some people, they turn it into a blood sport. They're like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna be different in such a way that you have never seen before. And this is like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm getting a little nauseous about this stuff now. Anyways, I'm gonna include the links in this within the video description. But they like to say that they are not all occultists, but by them transitioning, they are then indoctrinated into a gang, if not an occult, which they have, say, a few selected lieutenants or commissars that happen to be the party enforcers, right? Say like the Communist Party had its enforcers that went around, trying to keep people in line with the party doctrine, and if they were not in line with the party doctrine, they would be corrected, or they would be punished. So safe to say, don't ever go full retard. Don't ever go full retard. You'll lose all your credibility, and then people will actually think that you're retarded. Okay, and then I also got this thing from Reddit. I'm gonna include. This was all on the first page of Google when I put this in, and it was transgenderism and the occult. So again, it's just not like it's not like it's a mystery, and they laugh about it. They laugh about it. That's the problem, is that they laugh about it. It's not that they want to be different. It's the purposeful intent, and this can be proven through their timelines and through their behavior, in which you can see the actual radicalization happen to them through like a story arc, in which they have main character syndrome, because they some of these individuals again take it upon themselves to just be absolutely raging, festering cunts. And like cunt is is like fuck, right? It can be used as something positive, or describing someone, okay, oh yeah, he's a good cunt, right? Or what a miserable cunt. It's not necessarily a reference to a woman's genitals, and that's a disassociation. But some people just were never able to make that and draw that conclusion together. And there's other stuff about this, whereas some of them think that, again, especially amongst witches, that the womb is the ram's head, and that means that they're predestined towards Satanism and the occult, is just by the mere fact that they have a womb, which again, don't try to explain this shit to me. I've seen enough of it to know, as has the rest of the world. We've let this experiment go on for far too long. Um, and they're gonna cry bloody murder once all of their income streams start disappearing. But the reality is that's what they did to their critics. They didn't just try to cancel them; they tried to ruin their lives, and they still continue to do so, because they think that they can hide behind a bunch of proxy servers, and maybe they have someone else fronting for them. So that's a problem, right? And then it's also this association between communism, queerness, and transgenderism, and whatever fucking queerdo butt sex. So like, okay, I'm getting the 40 minutes now. I'm gonna stop this. I'll put these links into the description, and then you can have your field day. Anyways, thanks for tuning into this. I'm going to title it exactly as I'm talking about, and again, I think I did a very good job sticking to the topic and not meandering around a lot, to keep this more easily to understand. So Godspeed, gentlemen.